G'day, my name is Lockie Sheldon and welcome to the Indigenous Arts presentation. The course concept to be delved in today is respect. To begin with, the word respect is utterly broad. Contemporary students may associate respect with terms such as empathy, homage and acceptance. I can assure you, it's much more than something like a simple handshake.
Legends surrounding the outback are fascinating to hear, and I'm always fascinated to hear them.
In regards to indigeneity, respect is recognition, protection and advancement of Indigenous inherent rights, culture and traditions. Incorporating elements of recognition, protection and advancement has been underwhelming in the 18th, 19th and 20th century development of Australia. Mate, I respect Indigenous people. I watch the NRL Indigenous All-Stars game. I watch NITV if it's on. I wear Indigenous clothing during NAIDOC week. What my old mate just described was not respect, but simple acknowledgement. The fact that many adverse events such as the Stolen Generation occurred reflects the lack of respect and prejudice towards the Aboriginals' culture, rights and traditions in the past. In the present, Indigenous children fare worse from their Anglo-Saxon classmates due to homogeneity in the Australian curriculum, incorporating history and practices of Western society. Although there has been a recent surge for the unified respect of Aboriginal culture in Australia, such as Kevin Rudd's apology to the entirety of the Indigenous people, there is still a lack of respect apparent in society. An effective art example showing the effect of disrespect on the Indigenous community and identity is the song Treaty, performed by Indigenous band Yothu Yindi. The song is a reflection on the disrespect from the Anglo-Saxon dominated Australian government towards Indigenous people's culture, traditions and existence. But firstly, a little background to understand the song's impact. Due to the horrific events of Australia's historical conflict between the Indigenous peoples and European settlers, there was much speculation surrounding the push from the Barunga people of the Northern Territory for the Australian government to recognise Indigenous peoples' rights in the form of a treaty. The then Prime Minister Bob Hawke promised the Barunga people that the Commonwealth Parliament would negotiate a treaty that would allow for such elements as respect and promotion of Aboriginal identity, a national elected Aboriginal and Islander organisation to oversee Aboriginal and Islander affairs, a police and justice system which recognises the customary laws of Indigenous people and frees them from discrimination and activity which may threaten their identity or security, interfere with their freedom or expression or association, and more. However, over a quarter of a century later, this treaty has still not eventuated, resulting in this artistic protest from Yothu Yindi.
Words are easy, words are cheap, much cheaper than our priceless land. But promises can disappear, just like writing in the sand. Treaty, yeah, treaty now, treaty, yeah, treaty now. This land was never given up. This land was never bought and sold. The planting of the Union Jack never changed our law at all.
The lyrics from the song relay the Indigenous perspective on the lack of respect from the Australian government. Every line is painted with insight into the painful experiences of Aboriginal peoples as a result from a discriminatory past, the glimmer of hope given, just to be decimated by false promises, from what can only be described as a lack of respect. Lyrics such as words are easy, words are cheap, much cheaper than our priceless land, the planting of the Union Jack never changed our law at all, this land was never given up, this land was never bought and sold, with the passionate delivery from the lead singer, the powerful messages the lyrics convey, and with the effective use of Aboriginal instruments and dance, effectively illustrates an absence of respect from the Australian government to recognise, honour and promote indigeneity. In summary, the concept of respect in regards to promoting the Indigenous people's lifestyle is not apparent in contemporary Australia. Through Yothu Yindi's most powerful song, They reflect their perception of the Australian government's attempt to respect their culture, just for an underwhelming response, not eventuated some 31 years later. As I conclude my presentation, I emphasise that for a proactive society, there is no greater foundation than that of respect. And I ask, how would you like for your background to be decimated than to be prompted by an authority, but then just never to be rectified?